You know what? I've had comments like this over and over and over again on this channel for almost 3 years, but most especially since September of 2025. So when this latest comment hit, I did what I do best. I started watching YouTube. Now, Walter over at the Network Architect channel did an in-depth video called EV Sales Reality Check, The Rebound is Real, and that encouraged me, and it put me on a mission. The link to his video is in the description below, so do go watch that when you have a chance. But back to the comment. I do get it. If you're only reading U.S. headlines, then it sounds completely plausible. But here's the truth. The actual numbers, the global numbers, the U.S. sales numbers, when properly analyzed and compared, tell a completely different story. And today, we're going to look at those numbers together. Now, I want to be fair here. The EV stall narrative in the United States is not entirely invented. There have been some headline struggles. Manufacturers adjusting production targets, some slower than expected retail demand in certain segments. And I understand where the anxiety comes from. But here's the thing about data, and I say this all the time on this channel. You have to look at the full picture. Not just one country, not just one quarter, not just one year, but everything. So today we're going to look at the numbers from 2010 all the way through the end of 2025. And by the time we're done, I think you'll see exactly why the United States EV market isn't dying. Like Walter said in his video, it's about to wake up. So let's dig into the actual, factual data. Let's start with the actual numbers that stopped me in my tracks the first time I saw them. In 2010, just 15 short years ago, there were exactly 22,000 electric vehicles sold worldwide. Not the USA, the entire planet. 22,000 cars. You know what 22,000 is? It's a decent month for a single mid-sized dealership group here in the U.S. Now let's fast forward to 2025, shall we? Over 20 million EVs sold worldwide in 2025. From 22,000 to 20 million in 15 years. That's not a failing technology. That is not a stalling market. That is a technology doing something very specific, crossing the threshold from early adopter curiosity into mainstream adoption. I like to think of it like you would think of smartphones. In 2007, when the first iPhone launched, people said, "Who's going to pay that much money for an iPhone?" But by 2012, almost everybody had one. The technology didn't fail. It hit a tipping point, and the numbers exploded. But it's easier to adopt a $750 phone than it is a $75,000 EV. So the adoption curve is going to take more than 5 or 6 years like it did for the iPhone. That adoption curve is exactly what we're watching with EVs right now, globally. Now let's talk market share, because this number is just as important as total units sold. In 2010, EV sales were less than 0.1% of all car sales worldwide. That's less than 0.1%. That's not a niche. That's a rounding error. EVs were not even a footnote in the automotive industry in 2010. Well, today, over 25% of all cars sold globally right now are electric. 1 in 4 cars sold on this planet right now is an EV. That is not a fad. That is not a trend. That is a structural shift in the global automotive industry. Now, here's the key point for U.S. viewers who feel like these numbers don't match anything that they see at their local dealership. Well, you're absolutely right. U.S. adoption rates do lag the global average. Countries like China and Norway are pulling that 25% number up significantly. But here's the pattern that history teaches us over and over and over and over again. Global adoption drives scale. Scale drives cost reduction. Cost reduction drives U.S. adoption. We've seen this play out before with the hybrid vehicle, with solar panels, with flat screen TVs. The United States follows, and it's about to do the same thing with EVs. Now, if you're getting anything of value from this breakdown, take a second or two and hit the subscribe button. There's a lot of potential EV owners out there who need to see this data, and your subscription helps them find the channel. Let's talk about why this turnaround is coming. Two more data points that are extremely important. First, battery prices. The cost per kilowatt hour for EV batteries continues to decrease. Now, I want to be honest with you here. It's not dropping as fast as some analysts originally predicted. I'm not overall happy with how slow it's actually going down, but the trajectory is still downward. The direction's clear. Batteries are still getting cheaper every single year, and here's why that matters. At the point when battery costs hit a certain threshold, an EV simply becomes less expensive to manufacture than any comparable gas car. Not just cheaper to fuel, cheaper to build. And that's why you should go watch my latest video about the Slate truck. Not just the cheapest EV truck in America, the cheapest new truck in America. Much less expensive than any ICE offering. And that link to that video is in the description below. But when that happens, when the price drops, the economics are just going to completely flip. And the second point, and this one just does not get talked about enough, but I'm going to deal with it here. Internal combustion engine vehicle sales. They have still not recovered to 2019 levels. That's not one bad year. That's 6 consecutive years of failing to return to pre-pandemic numbers. Period. Those are the numbers. They're real. Meanwhile, EV sales are more than triple what they were in 2019. Same time frame, but completely opposite trajectories. That's not a coincidence. That is a structural market shift happening in slow motion right in front of us all. The numbers don't lie, but there are some analysts that continue to spew forth non-factual information, like all the ones you've been seeing pop up on the screen over here. Ignore them. So, what specifically is going to move the needle here in the United States of America? A few things are converging right now. Battery prices are coming down, and that means more affordable markets hitting the market, not just your $70,000 luxury EVs. And by the way, it's those luxury EVs that continue to skew the average cost to be higher for EVs than for ICE cars. But a quick comparison of available models show that there are more than 15 EV models that are priced less than the average price of a new ICE car here in the USA. But you never hear that in the lamestream media. Entry-level mainstream family vehicles at prices that actually make sense for everyday American buyers are available right now. The Bolt, the Leaf, and even the venerable Model 3 all come in well under the overall average price of a new car, which is $49,500. Go check it out yourself if you don't believe me. The charging infrastructure, while still imperfect, and yes, we've covered that in depth on this channel, is expanding. Slowly. Sometimes. But with Walmart, Ayana, and Reddy pouring on the new infrastructure, 2027 is shaping up to be the year of the charger. Networks are moving in the right direction. And perhaps most importantly, the 20 million EVs sold globally in 2025 represents something very tangible for American consumers. Manufacturing scale, supply chain development, technology refinement. Every one of those 20 million cars sold somewhere else on this planet directly lower the cost of the car you're planning to buy next year. The U.S. hasn't been sitting still, my friends. It's been in the early innings of a game that the rest of the world started years ago, especially China. The late innings are coming, and there's nothing the dead dealership models or the NADA can do to stop this train from pulling into the station. It's coming. The bottom line, the narrative that EVs are failing is based on looking at one market, the United States, through a very short window of time. The global data tells a completely different story, from 22,000 sales in 2010 to 20 million in 2025. From less than 0.1% market share to more than 25% market share. With battery costs declining and ICE sales stuck in a 6-year-old structural slump, it's not even close. The U.S. EV market is not dying. It's late to a party that the rest of the world started years ago. And those two lines, EV growth and ICE decline, they're going to keep moving in the same direction they've been moving since 2010. And there's absolutely nothing that any amount of naysaying on social media can do to stop it. That's the whole reason I make these videos. Not to tell you what to think, but to make sure we're all looking at the full picture, the complete picture, and not just one frame in a movie that's 2.5 hours long. Now, I want to hear from you. Here's my question for the comments. What do you think is the single biggest thing holding back EV adoption in the United States right now? Is it price? Is it charging infrastructure? Range anxiety? The dealership model? The NADA? Or is it something completely different that I've completely missed? Drop your answer below. I read every single comment, and your answers literally become the future videos on this channel. So I'd like to hear from you. If this video has helped you see the bigger picture, share it with someone who's been hearing that EVs are failing, because these numbers deserve to be seen. And I will see you out there or somewhere along the route from point A to point B. Take it easy, and I will see you all very, very soon.